easy, especially in the later rounds. So we'll see what he does about that against Mitch Green.
Always aggressive, right in front of his man. Now we see some head movement. Quicker shot. There's the left hook I was talking about.
He did draw a warning from Luis Rivera, the referee, about holding. Green's in trouble. Good left hand by Tyson.
Everyone has a plan until they get their mouthguard punched out of the ring in the first round. While Green had all the physical advantages, Tyson's supreme boxing skills and speed negated the gap in size and weight, backing up Green from the opening bell, slipping and countering, forcing the much bigger man into survival mode from the word go.
Big right hand against Tillis, and what a shot! That is an awesome shot.
Tyson punched out Green's mouthguard again in the third, whereafter he started mocking his opponent for having a wide gulping mouth, stalking him across the ring, landing fierce single power punches.
The fist throws his punch.
Another big left hook.
Hey, Tyson there, good uppercut. He has to take a stand eventually. Another couple body shots. Well, he's smiling. Tyson is smiling, but see, Green has those fast hands.
The fight became so routine by the closing stages, the crowd knew they were witnessing a foregone conclusion. Tyson himself appeared to have his mind elsewhere as he bizarrely kissed his trainer, Kevin Rooney, while he was trying to deliver him intricate strategies and details regarding the fight.
Well, Kevin Rooney is in there and just jabbering away 100 miles a minute. Mike Tyson leaned over and just kissed him.
Tyson closed the show, trying to score the knockout, but Green's disinclination to engage allowed him to grab and clinch his way to safety, resulting in him losing 9 out of 10 of the rounds on every different scorecard.
But we knew deep inside that I was going to win this fight so easy because of his style. He's a dang tough opponent, and he took some fairly decent shots. But as you know, I won comfortably, and I didn't try for the knockout, and I used a great deal of discipline in there, not knocking him out.
Tyson claimed he carried Green the 10-round distance on purpose to punish him for as long as possible, and whether it was true or not, Green's personal pride was hurt, and he was willing to do whatever it took to restore a sliver of respect amongst his peers. Green retired from boxing after the Tyson loss and returned to the street to earn a living from selling drugs. He always planned to one day get Tyson back in the ring, but as his years of inactivity ensued, Tyson progressed to one of the most dominant heavyweight champions of all time, undefeated and undisputed. The days of fighting lingering contenders such as Mitch Green were over. It wasn't until a couple of years after their fight that the two would meet again, this time in Green's element, the street. In the early hours of August 23, 1988, Mitch Green got wind that Tyson was shopping at a local clothing store close by to where he ran things on the street. Tyson had traveled a fair distance to pick up a luxury leather jacket handmade by one of his friends over at Dapper Dan's. As Tyson was chilling in the store with his entourage, Mitch Green burst through the door on his own, high on angel dust, demanding Tyson either give him a rematch or empty his pockets right there on the spot. Tyson, of course, no stranger to altercations on the street, dragged Mitch Green outside and pummeled him to the ground multiple times. Spectators said that the fight was short, violent, and very one-sided. In fact, it was no longer than 15 to 20 seconds, but that's more than long enough for the heavyweight champion to inflict severe damage. There is no footage of the fight, regardless of the clickbait you see on YouTube, but there were many accounts of what happened that all aligned, all except Green's account, where he claimed Tyson sucker punched him and ran.
Who threw the first punch here?
He did. He sucker punched me because he's with his friends, you know, and when he hit me, like I said, I couldn't get a chance to get to him like I wanted because everybody was like pulling me, you know, holding me, like so he could get away from me, so he could get away, and he ran from me.
Green was certain the Tyson scuffle, which became mainstream news around the world, would add enough public intrigue to get his rival back in the ring. But Mitch had already burnt his bridges among the promoters in the sport, with his violent threats to Don King in the past already shadow banning him from ever earning any serious money in the ring again. After Green's failed attempts to get the rematch with Tyson, he filed a civil lawsuit for $20 million due to the injuries he suffered during their fight. The former gang leader came away with one small W to coincide with a long list of L's, winning the case and being awarded $45,000, close to what his purse was during their professional fight in 1986.
Yeah, I remember seeing Mitch Green's eye after that. It was like,
he broke his socket. Broke the eye socket. Yeah.
He broke his eye socket.
Yeah. The eye socket. You gotta hit really hard to do some like that, right?
Green returned to the ring 7 years later, but at that point he was a shell of his former self and was beaten by journeymen with losing records until he hung him up for good in 2005. As of 2022, Green is still a large-as-life character, but now employs his energy into his love of Christianity. He still has a gripe with Tyson, but I think it's fair to say the two have now moved on, and whenever the topic is brought up today, they both make light of their infamous 30-year feud.
And that didn't work. The boy scared to death. After we had the street fight, the boy scared to death.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't y'all have a street fight, Mitch?
For the ring, for the street. Thinking the man would do something about it, he wouldn't do nothing. Oh, man, he freaked me out.
Did you know that actually Tyson and Sal are good friends and he comes to the show? He knew, look there. Yeah, it's like Tyson. You see that? He got
Neue Chancen für Ihren Online-Erfolg. Wir sind digital an Ihrer Seite. Ionos.
Any comments on the fight?
Yeah, proves who the real champion is.
Was it ever close?
It was over before it started.
Think there'll be a rematch?
You think they want one?
How about a shot?
That's it. Very good.
Welcome back to another big fight recap here on BLTV Classic.
Oh, if I'm gonna do this, well, as soon as I get in the ring, it's a whole different story. I'm the killer then.
On today's video, we venture back to the closing stages of Tyson's development period in the professional ranks. Still young and undefeated, but now taking on more serious heavyweight contenders.
A very rugged Reggie Gross.
Reggie Gross isn't often credited as a serious contender. However, Tyson's legendary trainer, Cus D'Amato, knew there was more than meets the eye, as he was openly opposed to letting his prodigy take on the Baltimore Bruiser. A short, explosive battle that sent the loser spiraling out of control. Let's take a look.
That's it. There you go. There you go. Again. Who's the last guy to stop? Time. Very good.
A lot is made of Tyson's work ethic today. To see a teenage boy so dedicated to his craft is inspiring. When he wasn't in the gym perfecting his technique, he was reading boxing books and magazines, watching classic matches from Cus's library, and even attending events and weighing up his potential opponents in the flesh.
Tyson, welcome to Wembley, Mike. Thank you very much, Harry. Just give us...
He was obsessed, but his infatuation with the sport paled in comparison to his trainer and mentor, Cus D'Amato.
An old trainer, had a head full of incredible knowledge, and had this impact on every fighter that he had ever trained.
Cus's traits as a coach were endless. He was a futurist, a boundary breaker, a professor of the sweet science with the communication skills to convey his philosophy in layman's terms. But his most salient quality, widely overlooked by the hardcore boxing community, was his detailed knowledge of the current landscape in boxing. He knew the strengths and weaknesses of every fighter from New York to Moscow. If a fighter was making waves in a small town in, say, Scotland, he knew about it, and would often send one of his team, usually Jose Torres, across the globe on a scouting mission.
This is all good. Oh, that's a danger sign for Bruno.
In 1985, during Tyson's early rise, Cus took a particular interest in a young, undefeated light heavyweight from the Bronx named Reggie Gross. Gross was trained by Mac Lewis, a prominent figure in the New York boxing scene in the mid-'80s. Lewis helped nurture a talent that remained undefeated as a light heavyweight, and one that conquered two notable contenders at the 200-plus pound limit in Jimmy Clark and Smokin' Burt Cooper. Before Cus D'Amato passed away in late 1985, he left a note to Jose Torres of fighters that he thought Tyson should avoid, at least until his prodigy had gained more experience. At the top of that list was one Reginald Gross. Gross was nimble with decent defensive skills, but that wasn't the reason Cus wanted no part of him. Tyson's trainer was fearful of the fact that Gross had lost to low-caliber fighters like Anthony Witherspoon and Jack Johnson, yet was able to defeat both Jimmy Clark and Smokin' Burt Cooper within a short period of time. Gross was the sort of fighter that rose to the occasion, defied the odds when it mattered most, and in 1986, there wasn't a more motivating challenge than taking on the Brooklyn Bomber, Kid Dynamite.
First round, he is the most exciting heavyweight the world has been waiting for, the undefeated Mike Tyson from Catskill, New York.
Tyson came face-to-face with Gross on June 13, 1986. Tyson had a record of 21-0 with 19 KOs, while Gross had a record of 18-4 with 12 finishes inside the distance. Tyson looked the more dangerous of the two in the opening round, stalking Gross around the ring, trying to get the job done early. With a minute left on the clock, Gross momentarily stunned Mike with an uppercut followed by a right hook. Seeing a glimpse of weakness, Gross just went all guns blazing to try and shock the world. A devastating, leaping left-hand counter put Gross down and out for the count. In total, Gross threw 18 shots in that short barrage, while Tyson, on the other hand, threw just a single blow. One of the greatest knockouts for Mike that truly emphasized how remarkable his technique was.
Were you surprised by that?
Not at all. At first I thought because he charged out a little with a kind of a sluggish stand, like he's just ready to wing. But I was precarious about it, and I just kept putting the jab in his face, looking forward for him to move forward.
If there is a way to beat Mike Tyson, how do you do it? You want to talk about that one, do you? I don't.
357 Magnum.
I'm starting to think.
Good chance.
It wasn't until after the Tyson match that we realized boxing was just a mere side hustle for Gross, pocket money to fuel his crippling cocaine addiction. Coming from the tough streets of Baltimore, the influence of crime and gang culture drew Reggie in at an early age. By teenhood, he'd been in and out of the juvenile system for crimes such as theft and robbery. Gross took up boxing in the late 70s, but his life outside the ring never changed. In fact, things only got worse. A lot worse.
3 weeks ago, police and sheriff's departments in Los Angeles began a major campaign to arrest gang members.
In the fall of 1986, 2 months after the Tyson fight, Gross was arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder that he allegedly carried out while working as a hitman for the infamous Boardley gang. Gross was acquitted in court for lack of evidence. However, another member of the gang, Donnie Andrews, cooperated with the FBI and gave incriminating evidence to put Reggie behind bars for the rest of his life. In 1989, Gross was convicted and sentenced to 3 life sentences, 2 of which were to serve consecutively. He's currently being held at the Terre Haute Correctional Facility in Indiana, where his expected release date is November 1st, 2048. If you'd like to know more about the Reggie Gross story, I'd recommend this video made by Rich the Fight Historian, where he goes into more detail regarding both his personal and professional life. Suppose you just crave more outlandish stories from dysfunctional boxers, then I would recommend checking out this series made by an excellent commentary channel called Boxing Beats and Rhymes. He covers most of boxing's unique crime stories in this classic 5-part miniseries.